my name is Lauren Fiala, and today we're going to talk about the 4 different methods of making sparkling wine in Ohio. We're going to start off with the traditional method, which is also known as method champenois. This is the method of winemaking that is used in the Champagne wine region. A primary fermentation takes place first, where yeast converts sugar into heat, alcohol, and CO2, and usually it goes up to about 11% alcohol. Once this primary fermentation is complete, the wine will be filtered and it will get an addition of yeast, sugar, and bentonite, which is a fining agent, and they will all be bottled under a crown cap. The secondary fermentation takes place within this bottle, and the byproducts are the same, but this time the CO2 has nowhere to go, so it dissolves into solution, creating those bubbles that we taste in our wine. Once fermentation is complete, the yeast will fall to the bottom of the bottle and the wine will age for months, sometimes years. This adds creaminess to the texture of the wine, as well as flavors of toast, brioche, and yeast. After aging, the yeast must be removed, which is a complicated process. First, you must riddle the bottles to get the yeast to the neck of the bottle. Then you must freeze the neck, which will trap the yeast. Then you go through the messy process of disgorging the yeast. The pressure inside, which is usually about 5 to 6 atmospheres of pressure, pushes the yeast plug out, leaving clean wine behind. This stage, the wine is completely dry, and this is when sugar is added. The terminology for sweetness in sparkling wine can be rather confusing. In fact, in the 19th century, champagne was actually sweet. It was actually sweeter than the Coca-Cola of today. As time went by, producers started to add less sugar, calling it demi-sec or half-dry. With success of this product, they created a category called sec or dry. In 1846, no sugar was added at all, and critics called this wine severe or brut-like. This cork is what is in a standard wine bottle. This is a champagne cork. It isn't until it's placed inside the bottle that it gets that mushroom shape. First wine we're going to taste is from Cellars, which is located in the Grand River Valley, and their focus is on drier wines. And this is a newer project for them, their sparkling wine. They've only been doing this for a few years. And if you ask Matt Meineke, who is the owner and winemaker at Cellars, he will tell you that this is his favorite wine to drink. This is their Brut Rosé. So if you take a look at the color, this is not classic rosé like you would think. It's got this kind of salmon color to it. And the reason it has that color is because this wine is aged on the lees for 6 months. And that aging on the lees gives it this, it kind of leaches out that color and gives it this kind of bronzed look to it, making it more salmon than pink. This is also a brut wine, which it says on the label, which means it's dry. And it is made in the method traditional, which is the classic method that they make champagne with. The blend is 73% Pinot Noir, 27% Chardonnay. And this is a really nice example of traditional method from Grand River, having this red, delicious apple to it, as well as this slight biscuity characteristic because of aging it on the lees for 6 months. And it has this nice, crisp, clean fruit. Here are some other examples of traditional method wines made from around the state. From the wide variety of sparkling wines produced by Mon Ami and Firelands to the Lake Erie Treasures by Lake House, which is aged for 10 years on the lees. Now let's talk about the Charmat method, also known as the tank method. Primary fermentation takes place the same way as it does in traditional method, but the secondary fermentation takes place inside a special pressurized tank. An average wine tank would fail under the pressure of sparkling wine. This process is how Prosecco is made and creates a more fruit-forward wine. We're going to taste through Michelangelo's wines. Michelangelo is a winery located in Richfield, Ohio. They've been open for 2 years now. They started off as a bakery and are still selling some of their fantastic bakery in their winery today. So we're going to taste through 2 of their Charmat method, tank method sparkling wines today. We have their rosé, which is 2.3 brix residual sugar, and it is 3 bar of pressure. This wine is 100% Syrah, and it came in as a rosé, and it's held that beautiful color that it has, and it has this really nice consistent bubble coming up from the glass. This has a nice crisp acidity to it to still make it seem like it isn't as sweet as it actually is. And this is a fantastic wine to pair with food. The other wine that we have is the Moscato, which is very similar to Asti Spumante, which comes from Piedmont, Italy. This wine is extremely floral in aromatics, this white flower, kind of this orange blossom. And it also is kind of like a fruit salad. There's so much fruit going on in here. And it's almost on the confectionery side of this candied fruit. So this wine is great if you like sweeter wines. It is a great example of Moscato that's sparkling.
Another example of Charmat method wine is Riem by Myers, which, fun fact, is Myers spelled backwards. Now let's discuss the super funky Ancestral method.
This wine here is from Vermilion Valley Winery, which is located west of Cleveland. And this is called en plein air, which is a style of drawing that is done over a series of 200 hours. And it is of the winery itself. This is what is called a pet nat, which is Petulant Naturel, and it is made in the Ancestral method. This is the oldest form of sparkling wine in the world, dating back to the 16th century. It is a riskier type of sparkling wine because you don't necessarily know what you're going to get. You have to stop it at the exact proper moment. He chills down the tank so that you stop the yeast and kind of inhibit it, but you have to bottle it into the actual bottle itself, which is bottled with a crown cap, and that the finished product will ferment inside of this bottle and leave behind the yeast, which is still in this bottle. This is not as clean of a method as method Champenois, where you actually disgorge the bottle and get all of that yeast out. And this wine ends up being about 1.5 bars, which is much less than the method Champenois that we saw earlier. And this wine is very natural. If you bottle it too late, you will not have enough sparkle. And if you bottle it too early, you will have too much sparkle and it can foam over when you open it. And this wine is completely dry and it has no sulfur. What is protecting it inside of that bottle is the actual carbonic acid itself from the CO2.
A less labor-intensive wine is produced by the injection method, which force carbonates the wine. This creates a fun, sparkling wine that fits everyone's budget. For more information on how to get these sparkling wines from Ohio, please go to ohiowines.org. As Dom Perignon supposedly said, "Come quickly, I'm tasting the stars." See you all next time. Cheers.